Hi, my name is Brenda Refutation, and I'm doing my refutation speech on Joshua's topic, which is the autonomous vehicles. His claim is that widespread implementation of driverless vehicles will reduce the number of accidents on the roads. His claim is not efficient because driverless vehicles are not perfect. They can fail at any time and can cause more accidents. Secondary claims are, first is a driverless car has better situational awareness. Second is that driverless cars reduce gridlock. Third is that many of the technologies in autonomous vehicles are already options being marketed to consumers. So to respond to a secondary claim, one is a driverless car has better situational awareness. For example, his first example he uses, which is a robot, and it's and honestly, it's research study like I can't relate with because there is no way of research being done on my behalf. I have no access to his robot. I've never seen his robot, so I don't know how that's gonna work. Second example is that he uses a study from Angelica Dimaca, and it is outdated because the resource it's coming from is from 2014. To make the information more valid, the source needs to be more recent. Then his third example is that the computer cannot be intoxicated or disabled. I mean, he has a point there because obviously a computer can't get drunk to like any type of alcohol, like Patron or Coronas or Budweiser, but not in Miller Lite. But it can definitely be hacked, and that's even worse. Forbes.com stated that driverless cars will suffer from attacks by hackers, hijackers, thieves, and terrorists. So that's a lot. That's a risk right there. So driverless cars can be even used as a bomb delivery vehicle. Now, responding to his secondary claim two, which is driverless cars can reduce gridlock, Joshua's first sub-point is not accurate because I believe that communication is important among drivers to avoid gridlock. An example are the hand signals, which we learned when we obtain our driver's license. And these signals can avoid gridlock and avoid more car accidents. And it stated that driverless cars have trouble interpreting like human signals. And this can cause more car accidents. For example, if there's a cop and he's telling you, directing a vehicle where exactly to go, and these cars lack that, so it's obviously going to be there's going to be more accidents. There's going to be more traffic because now driving it's available. Like anyone can do it. You don't have to go through training or any stuff like that. Then the autoinsuranceCenter.com states that driverless cars will fail in weather conditions such as heavy rain because it can cause serious damage to the laser sensor mounted on the car's roof. That's pretty bad because imagine like it starts raining and then all of a sudden the car's going to break down because it's all technological. That's pretty bad. Now, responding to secondary claim 3, which is that many of these technologies in autonomous vehicles are already options being marketed to consumers. Joshua first starts with talking about the braking feature in the model Volvo XC60 and how it has reduced accidents. Then he discusses that the newer systems in the Nissan Leaf and the Tesla Model S. My problem with these two examples is that these driverless cars will be very expensive and consumers cannot be able to afford it. Like I won't be able to afford it, any college student, because they're out of the price is over like $47,000. And then Forbes.com states that sophisticated electronics, including sensors, cameras, computing, and networking devices, and maintenance, will price driverless cars out of reach to consumers. Then also Forbes.com also states that driverless vehicles could put millions of people, of Americans out of work. This includes police, the DMV because they're not going to have not that much people to take the behind the wheel test. Bus drivers, taxi, Uber, Lyft, it will definitely affect the economy. And there will be a definitely high unemployment rate, and without employment, consumers will not be able to purchase these vehicles. So to conclude, I am not convinced by his claim, and I will stick to American muscle cars, not these cars. Thank you.
Okay, structurally everything's good. You preview well. You signpost as you get to the individual points. On the issue of situational awareness, I was kind of unclear exactly what you were talking about. Something about his robot, and I don't remember what his argument was there. That he was talking about his own personal robot. That seems a little bit odd. I don't remember the example, so maybe it was a personal robot, or maybe it was something else. The idea, though, that there are potential problems, I think that you did a pretty good job on. I like the quote that you had from Forbes that talked about risks of hijacking and thieves and terrorists using these things. I think you could probably also draw a similar analogy. This is something that depends on technology, especially computer technology, and you could probably just hypothetically ask people who are sitting there, has anybody here ever had a problem with their computer? Has it ever frozen? Has it ever crashed? Has it ever, failed to load a program? Has it ever, done those kinds of things? Well, now take that program and put it in the most sophisticated tool that you're going to be using, and put your life on the line when you're in it. And I think a lot of people go, maybe there is a little bit of an issue about this. Because that's not a hard one to get people to see a potential problem on. I did like the humorous way that you talked about the drunk driving thing. You're right, the computer's not going to be having any Patron. That's just not going to happen. The issue about gridlock I thought was kind of interesting, because you go at it from the direction of they're not being able to read human signals. I'm assuming, for instance, that we would still have traffic officers, although later on you make the argument that we're not going to have any of these people. They're all going to be out of a job. So either they're all losing their job because everything is technologically involved, or they have a job and some of the technology is not designed to work with them. That's a little bit of an inconsistency in the argument. But I did like the explanation that you had using his own evidence that talked about how difficult they have at time reading human signals, that sort of thing. The officer trying to wave the car over or get it to stop and that sort of thing. The technology it might respond to, but the humans it's not going to respond to very much. I hadn't heard the weather thing before. That's an interesting one. I'm trying to vision, why your laser sensor is going to be a little bit problematic. And it suddenly dawned on me, has anybody ever had their satellite go out in heavy rain? There you go. There's an analogy that you could use to make that point. I like the quote that you have, but I'm just thinking another way to sell it, and something like that. So there are other ways to make that argument. Just add a little bit more there. On the tech exists thing, I do like the argument that says that it's going to be too expensive for people to afford. So that's not really practical, so it can't have that benefit. But all the argument about the harms that are going to occur, those are arguments about the policy putting it into place. They're not about whether or not it will work and whether or not it will stop gridlock or reduce accidents and generally be safe. Maybe that whole third point is not relevant, but your argument about people being unemployed is also not relevant to the main proposition, which is a factual issue. It would be relevant to a policy argument, whether or not we should do these kinds of things. That's a different question, though. All right, thank you.